Right to the phones. Christopher in Iowa. Christopher, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Well, I just wanted to go back and revisit the illegal immigrant topic that you guys are talking about.
It's a hot topic.
And, I'm on the fence as to working and all that jazz. The part that I can't get over is the rule of law violation. Now, you guys...
That's my favorite part.
On that a little. What's that?
That's my favorite part because it's so easy to deal with.
Well, you talk about, you kind of brush it off as, well, everybody breaks laws, but that's really not, while that is the case, the expectation of punishment is there if you get caught.
Sure.
With the illegal immigration, currently right now, that expectation of punishment isn't present because of what the president's done.
Well,
okay. Well, what's the meaning of the phrase "rule of law"?
Rule of law means that the laws that are written down are enforced to the letter.
On everybody equally, right?
On everybody equally, correct.
Right. So, I mean, what happens when a cop goes faster than the speed limit? What happens when a cop even hurts somebody? What kind of punishment do they get versus what you and I might get for the same crime?
That is not for us to decide. That is for the law to decide. I mean, where do you draw the line?
Okay, well, if the law is supposed to be but if the law is supposed to be applied equally to everybody, there's a clear instance of it not being applied equally.
Not arguing that point. My point is, where do you draw the line?
Well,
what laws do you say are okay,
the lines are drawn by people far that believe that they're your superiors. The laws have never applied in 9,000 years of the state to the state and its enforcers. Charlie Rangel doesn't pay his taxes. He gets censured by the House. You don't pay your taxes. Your butt goes to prison and your family starves, right?
Absolutely.
What you're claiming is right. what you with the rule of law as it is implemented in any place but heaven means that the serfs do what they're told or they get their heads chopped off. We, the leaders, do what the hell we want, and we're soft on our men.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
That's what the rule of law is. The rule of law is a fantasy to suck in Republicans.
I don't agree with that point. I think if you don't have that belief in the rule of law and that it is applied equally, then...
Here comes the big gun, Christopher. Here it comes. Are you ready?
Let's hear it.
It's 1864. A black man is running across your pasture. Do you contact the local authorities and say that there's an escaped slave on the loose? The law compels you to.
The law compels me to. The decision is, I guess that would be my decision whether or not to inform on that. I don't know.
No, the law compels you.
Where do I live at? Where do I live?
You live in a border state.
You live in a state where you have to, by law, report on an escaped slave.
Every single
do you
one of
break
them. It
the
doesn't
law
matter.
or not?
You do not live in Canada.
I guess in this instance, I probably would.
You'd inform?
I haven't decided yet. You put me in one of those conundrums.
Okay.
Right,
that's the conundrum. And this is really what it comes down to. You know that there's good laws and you know that there's bad laws. That means that the rule of law is a system for getting good people to enforce bad laws, therefore making it a bad concept. That's all I put. That's
where
the
did
system.
The laws come from?
The laws come from evil liars. Where do you live?
Yeah, but the laws come from the people we elect to put those
Who's
laws
we?
Yeah, most of those people I didn't vote for.
Have you ever filed the deciding vote in an election?
Hey, you get the government you freaking put in.
No, I do not. I rarely get any of the people I vote for go in. I mean, you must live in an amazing world where you get the government you deserve. I get a government full of liars and thieves.
I'm not arguing that point.
There you go. The rule of law sucks because the people in the government that write them suck. If you can find me a government of angels, I'll obey your rule of law.
I still think you're sidestepping the point that
what?
You're just going to pick and choose what laws you
Yes, I am going to use my moral compass to decide what is right and what is wrong. I don't call that a sidestep. I have put the barrel of the gun right in the between your eyes, and you said yes. Laws are admitting there are evil laws. Therefore, the rule of law is evil. This is not a sidestep. This is the root of the issue. Politicians are evil people. You said you wouldn't argue that. Politicians write laws, therefore their missives must be, at times, evil. Thanks for the call,
very
Christopher.
cleverly put.
Thank you so much. I used to be that rule of law guy.
Yeah.
I was, because I thought, how can you run a society if you don't have a set of rules to do it? And the answer is, well, okay, let's have a set of rules. Here's the rules. They're easy. If you harm somebody, you must make them whole. If you do it on purpose, there should be a punitive element to that. That's really all it comes down to. Do no harm, keep your word, and it's fine. If you do harm, you need to make good. If you do harm on purpose, perhaps you need a scolding, perhaps some kind of more thing.
With the punitive element
I know you don't
thing.
like the punitive element part.
Yeah, or in the on purpose thing. I mean, if you run over someone by accident, I like restitution for the victim instead of punishment for the aggressor or the criminal.
I don't know. I think a lot of this is that everybody's trying to create this one-size-fits-all system for everybody, and you know what? I don't think that's possible.
Yeah,
I really don't.
Well, it's funny because the caller, I'm sorry, I forgot his name, but
Chris, I believe.
Chris. Okay, I appreciated his honesty. And
kudos to
when
him.
He was considering whether or not he would actually inform, because I could see that he was thinking about it, right? And so
he's a thinker.
I appreciate that vulnerability and that honesty.
And that he even had the conversation. That was fantastic.
True.
Absolutely.
That's what we like here on Free Talk Live. But, about the rule of law, like there are lots of people who are concerned, just like Christopher was, that the rule of law doesn't apply to people who come to the U.S. illegally and, maybe get a path to citizenship or whatever, right?
It really
or just
stinks
get
the
allowed
idea
to
that
stay.
somebody can come here illegally and jump the line for a bunch of other people who are waiting in line, right? Like that doesn't feel very good.
Right, especially if you're one of those people paying the immigration lawyer and waiting in line. Sure. It doesn't
may
feel
never
good.
even get the lottery to come here from Mexico.
Exactly. But I mean, before we worry about extending the rule of law to those people, isn't it kind of important to extend the rule of law to the politicians? And that's clearly not happening.
It's never going to happen as long as you have people in power. When was the last time people in power turned their violence against themselves?
Never.
They don't do that.
No, they don't.
That's not the point of the system.
They reward their friends and punish their enemies.
They
That's really
call
what
it a
it's
rule
about.
of law so that you'll support their power. The rule of law
and they put
is a
this,
lie.
They put this moral obligation onto it. They give you this guilt trip of, well, you're supposed to follow all the laws and you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Which, by the way, the original origin of that phrase was that there were so few laws that you couldn't be ignorant of, like the fact that it was wrong to hurt someone, for instance. But yeah, they put this moral guilt trip on everybody and say, oh, you're supposed to follow all the laws when it's an impossible rigged system. You can't possibly know all the laws. A lot of them are victimless crimes. A lot of them are just put in place to kind of control you. And so that everything is criminalized in a sense, and they can get you for whatever you want, whatever they want.
I love the saying, where there's a problem, there's something that's too big. And I think that is absolutely true. The amount of laws in the books are completely out of hand. The scope of, keep in mind, I think the case could be made that in the United States, in America, it was not supposed to be like the United States. It was supposed to be more, states were almost like their own countries and had far more direct control.
The federation to handle the military.
Exactly. And everything started going wrong, really, once that Constitution got put in place.
John in Indiana. John, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mark, Brian, Stephanie. I had a what if, and then I had a comment question. The what if is on the border. If we were spending, before we got more actively engaged in the bombing campaign, if we were spending $228 million a month with limited bombing, if we took that money and absolutely secured our borders and had better control over the visas, whether it's student or work or whatnot, and secured our country, and then let the people in the Middle East, the Sunnis and the Shias, fight their own wars. The money that we're spending over there, if we took the same money to secure our borders, where where would we be then, and how much better off would we be?
Can we do option C?
Yeah, can I keep my money?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
I just want stinking government bureaucrats that have never done anything efficiently in their lives, at least not working for the government. They haven't. They probably do lots of efficient things, but government bureaucrats who are not known for their efficiency. I think that's a better, nicer way of saying it.
Sure.
Why should I be giving them money?
Yeah, I would debate, too, that actually if we weren't spending it on bombing people abroad, that border protection may not be so much of an issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just as it was not an issue for this country for quite some time.
I think the intellectual discussion is if we don't control it over there, then it's going to come over here. And so I was just thinking if you didn't spend $228 million limited, probably ratchet on up to $1 billion a month with bombing. If you use that to absolutely secure the borders, then instead of tearing up someone else's country and putting our military guys at risk.
Do you like the direction this country's going, John? Do you like the direction the country's headed?
No, actually, I don't.
Do you think it's moving from freedom to tyranny?
I do, and I'm not.
Do you want to give a tyrannical government? Do you want to be trapped inside of a wall built by a tyrannical government?
No, not by a tyrannical government.
Me either. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
that clears things up.
450 free. I don't want their wall. I don't look. Your kids may be looking to go to China for work in the future. Do you really want to be trapped inside the wall?
Yeah, he was bringing up, I think whether he realized it or not.
He did want to make another point, but I dropped him. But, next time. We're 7 days a week from 7p to 10p, even if we're not on your local station. So sorry about that, John. I was not thinking. I got to keep the calls moving, though.
Yeah, I think he brought up a problem, or this is an old Greek problem, of what happens when the irresistible force meets the immovable object. It gets rephrased today in a good defense is a good offense, or a good offense is a good defense. But the answer to the problem is always the same. You don't have to play. That's the deal. Like, because that's what he was saying. It's like, should we have a better defense instead of being an offense, or should we have an offense instead of a defense? I would argue, just don't play. Don't play the game.
Let's go to Ed. Ed, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
I can sum it up in a few words. How y'all doing?
Hey,
Ed, long time no talk.
Hey, 3 great forces rule the world: stupidity, fear, and greed.
Yeah, those. Yeah, they're there.
That's it. And there is no conspiracy. It's just money and power. Always has been. And rule of law, simply means that you just you try not to let individuals. It's the constant struggle. You try rule of law. Justice is supposed to be blind. It's supposed to be.
But it's it's a faith-based belief, and I've tried to get rid of those because the government loves faith-based beliefs. What's the terminology, Ed? You know what it is. How rich people view, or how the government views religion. The poor see religion as true. The government see it as useful.
Regarded by the common man is true, the wise is false, and the rulers is useful.
Right. Yeah. And the rule of law is an extremely useful idea to rulers. And, to the common guy, yep, rule of law, good thing. I just can't sit here and I can't believe it.
Hey, Mark, but the main thing is an act of injustice is condemned not because a law is broken, but because a person has been hurt. That solves a lot of... Listen, justice really solves 90% of all our problems.
Yep, you're right.
If you think about... And look, and here's another quote written 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. We can have justice when those who have not been injured by injustice are as outraged by it as those who have been.
Indeed. Ed, thank you so much for the call. 855 450 free. I'm quick on that drop button tonight.
Always love getting a call from Ed, though.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.